just sort of getting to know Ime a little bit as a person, and that, off the air, he'll smile, is a little more jovial, but, roll camera or, hit record on the mic or whatever. It's suddenly it's all business. It's very buttoned up. It's very like there have been friends of mine have liked to call Ime, Captain Accountability, with the way that he's spoken through in the media at times about and to his players. What is that like? Is there kind of a gruff exterior as you're trying to sort of get to know him and do these interviews, a la getting to know Brad very early on, even though obviously we're talking about two totally different types of people?
Of course it is. That's the early, and that's, it's very, very super early. I think he was, I'm sure he'd tell you this. I think Ime was prepped a little bit by his predecessor about what I do and the way we do it, which is that, I'm going to drag guys kicking and screaming into making this entertaining. And you guys know, if you listen to the show and you've heard me on here before, you listen to Brad, you know that by the end with Brad, I was the one who had to bring him back in because he just wanted to go, indiscriminately crazy some nights and just start talking about wild things. I was like, all right, there's a game, the role reversal that went on over the 8 years was pretty stunning. But if I were Ime, I would be doing the same thing. I mean, it'd be hard for me to tone down what my normal personality is. It would be very hard for me to have patience for some of these questions and not go Tom Thibodeau on everything and kind of roll my eyes sometimes. But that's his job right now. When he's asked about Enes Kanter, trying to provoke a fight with China, what's he going to say? Well, it's not really, that's what I'd say too. It's not his why. And he has obviously said things that his predecessor wouldn't about the players. And we knew, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, but he's going to be that. And he is that way. But my job eventually, and we've already done it already. Anyone that's heard some of the pregame, we've already had a couple of moments, but it is my job we've got 7 or 8 minutes before the game. We're going to talk about the previous game. We're going to talk about the game that night. But at the end of the day, not everything is, high screens and UCLA cuts and side out of bounds plays. And there's personality. There's things that go on in this league. You draw from his experiences. We talked about a player. There's certain players we're going to talk about. In Chicago, we saw the Chicago game. He didn't play very much. But we talked about David Nwaba. That interested me. Why? Because it's a player that I've always liked and kept an eye on. And I think Ime is going to have a specific eye for the players that don't take the traditional route, who are not the 3rd pick in the draft and had to scratch and claw through the G League and whatever. And he has a different perspective on those guys. Remember where he's been, not just with Greg Popovich, and not just all those players that came through the Spurs. It's really fascinating the path he chose the last couple of years, which was to be in Brooklyn, to be around that situation all last year, and obviously to be in Philadelphia the year before, which not only prepped him in a lot of ways, and having Al Horford and having Josh Richardson. As I said to him on opening night, you took that job, right, just specifically to prepare for being able to understand the Boston accent because of Brett Brown. I mean, there was because you can't, how are you going to get around here if you can't understand those words? So I am optimistic that we're going to get to know the real guy, but you do a little bit at a time. You don't expect on the first date that you're going to get everybody's life story and you're going to be like old buddies. The Brad thing took time, and we are not, I don't know if you've noticed this slight trend, Adam. As a society, we're not as patient as we used to be about things. And
you mean losing your mind over a 10-second ad before a video starts on YouTube isn't normal?
Yes, something like that. I'm not going to sit through this. Okay, just hit skip ad. Just wait a couple of seconds.